I always think that handwritten notes are so much more personal than a thank you email. People are not numbers. You can only send so much data and analysis to someone. They want someone that cares, who's listening, hearing their story. So it's not just about their investments. They really want to hear the story and be part of their lives and their dreams for building the wealth. And I think that those are really important.
Hey everybody, welcome back to The Connected Advisor. I'm your host, Kyle Van Pelt, co-founder and CEO of Milemarker, and today I have a treat. I am joined by Chrissy Lee. Chrissy is the COO of Merit Financial Advisors, a firm I'm sure you've all heard of. But in addition to being the COO of one of the fastest growing RIAs in the country, she is also a self-proclaimed Disney enthusiast and, quite exciting, a brand new grandmother. Chrissy, the Disney enthusiast and brand new grandmother, welcome to The Connected Advisor.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. All right. So actually my first question, I didn't even ask you this off air, but it made me think of it. Do you have like a grandmother name? That's a big thing now. So rather than just grandma or whatever, have you come up with your own special grandma name?
So you just kind of gave a hint based on the things that I'm enthusiastic about. So my nickname so far is Minnie and Disney. So that's why I'm Minnie. Hopefully that'll stick with my grandson. But yeah, that's what it is.
Fantastic. That's so cool. I love to see that when people's authenticity comes out in their relationships. That's fantastic. I love that. All right, Chrissy. So I love to start these podcasts the same way with every guest, and this isn't going to be any different with you. So what I've found in all of these conversations, whether it's on air or off air, is that everybody has their own unique path to the financial services industry, to the wealth management industry. Some people's are a little bit more traditional. Maybe they followed family footsteps. Other people's may be untraditional. They came from some out of left field path and stumbled into this space. But what I have found is every single person, whether traditional or untraditional, has what we call a money moment. And that was a moment in their life where something just clicked and they said, oh man, this is it. This is what I want to do for my career and how I want to serve people. So Chrissy, for you, what was that money moment that brought you to the wealth management industry?
Yeah, I really got into the financial industry by chance, really. I started my career thinking that I was going to go into journalism.
Okay.
But then I did go through a prolonged illness that caused me to change, the whole course. So I ended up working in different sectors, but it was all in operations. And I think from there, I quickly learned that operations was something that came very naturally for me. So I really enjoyed creating the process and thinking through strategy and executing on things. And so it came naturally for me to constantly be thinking like, how are the clients going to feel about this? And of course, it always started in my head with, if I was the client, would I like this? Would I want to be, doing it this way? So I found an opportunity where I was working with an agent at Farmers Insurance, building up his book, and he needed someone to come alongside and help him build that. So, anytime I would hear operations or build, I'm on board. So I ended up working with him. I ended up getting my life and property and casualty licenses so I could talk with clients. And then I started creating the service model for the clients. That's just my natural bet to do that. So it was during my time, I think, at Farmers Insurance that I learned about the security side of the industry because I was on the fixed side. And the more I researched, the more I understood that my dream was really to be on the wealth management side. I learned a lot watching, those that were on the fixed side of the business, as well as the security side. It was fascinating to watch them taking care of their clients and building their book. And along the way, creating this great career for themselves. And I really knew I wanted to be in that space where the goal was to help people build great wealth. I'm not an advisor, but I wanted to help advisors build wealth for clients. And that was great for me. And I love helping people. But along the way, I also learned that if I could immerse myself amongst these amazing advisors and understanding how they're helping, clients build wealth, then I knew I could build wealth for myself. So I ended up working for a broker-dealer and an RIA firm, starting off on an entry-level operations role. I was just really hungry to learn everything about the business. And it gave me an opportunity, I think, to learn and help create like operational flows to make things efficient for our advisors and clients. And I talk about this quite often. I talk about this actually quite a bit. I'm obsessed with operational efficiency. I constantly find myself observing, assessing how companies run their operations. And then I come back to work and see if we need to change anything. So it's an obsession. I'll do this while waiting in line somewhere, whether I'm at the grocery store or when I'm on vacation, like Disney or something. I'll be calculating in my head, what if they did it this way? It can shave off this much time. Like I'm constantly thinking this. And I think that's where I realized this is the space that I really want to be in.
Man, that's really cool. Okay, we're going to dive into that a little bit more because I think Merit has just this incredible reputation of you're not only consolidating and acquiring firms very quickly, but you integrate them very fast and you kind of get them into the fold. A lot of times we get to talk to people more on the front end of these transactions or things like that who are going and finding the firms and bringing them in or whatever. I mean, you're running the engine that they're coming into. So tell us about what it takes to be successful in operations in this space? Because I also have this theory that great operators are actually pretty under the surface. A lot of times it's hard to find them because they're too busy, back at the office operating. They're not like out speaking at conferences or out doing a bunch of things. So we have this great treat of being able to bring you onto the microphone today and hear like what it takes to be a great operator and to have success in that realm.
Oh my goodness, you have to have a plan. You absolutely have to have a plan. We do. We're very active in the M&A space. And so we've created this whole transition process of having checklists. It's a big move. I always say that it's like moving into a brand new home. It's very new. For them, everything is new. It's probably not the same type of technology. It's not the same workflows or processes. And so we really have to be cognizant about that. It's second nature to us, but for others that are joining, it can be very challenging. And we cannot forget that, how hard that is. Obviously, in the beginning, we're working with the principals of the firm. So they're very much immersed in working with the leadership at Merit, before they join the organization. So the team behind the principals, they're not as involved in the beginning because they're so consumed in getting all the paperwork and all of that transition. So what we want to do is create that community for them. And so we have all of our department heads that are working with each of their team members to be able to fold them in, to be able to do a lot of training. We do that by going to their office, understanding what their roles look like, understanding what their current systems and processes are. And then we'll also tweak things based upon, their firm. We are not saying that we know everything, right? There are a lot of things that these amazing firms that join us, what they bring to the table, and we want to be able to incorporate that. And so it's really a back and forth relationship of understanding, okay, what do you do well? What does Merit do well? What are the resources that we can bring? And we start matching those two things up. And we do that obviously at the very beginning. So it's not something that we're doing once they join. There's so much for them to go through. And so this is just in the course of getting to that point when they join Merit, so that by the time they are on with us, hopefully they feel comfortable because of all of the different checklists and the things that we're telling them, you have to do this, don't forget to do this. And we walk them through each of those steps.
So well said. And you know what I noticed, and I know this is a part of it because I've known you for a while, but you just mentioned a lot of great operations was much more in kind of the preparation and the pre-planning. I didn't hear you saying like, oh, we fill out the paperwork in this sort of way, or we do this. And I know you guys are great at paperwork. I know you're great at all of that, but it's so much more about almost like those little things will take care of themselves if we have the big things figured out and done correctly.
Absolutely. 100%, because, and I don't want to take away from the fact that obviously we have to have those processes of what do we need for the paperwork? These are the checklists of things that as you move over, that's incredibly important. But I think that the most important part is the relationship that we're building. It really is, because we want them to understand, you're joining us and it's not us saying, oh, Merit has it all and, you're going to be folding into us. We really want to know what you bring to the table, because I'm sure there are many brilliant, talented people that are joining, as well as some of the workflows and systems. And we've done that with almost every acquisition that we've done. We've been able to learn a lot from them. And I think that it helps them also build trust with us, that we're saying, we don't know it all. We want to work with you. We want to be able to learn from you.
I love that. That's awesome. So speaking about things that make y'all unique, one of Merit's core values is future focus. So I actually love this. We're going to talk deeper about this. And everybody loves to have focus as a value. We got to stay focused. And then most of us aren't great at actually staying focused on things. But yours is future focus because you're a multi-generational firm and you're looking to think about what's coming down the road tomorrow, having that plan and preparation, not just for operating today, but also for tomorrow. And not long ago, you guys built a portal for clients called Merit Connect, which I think is really tied in with this value of future focus. So tell us a little bit more about why you did that and what that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting that you use the word future focus because that is one of our core values at Merit is future focus, and along with relationship, team, and Kaizen, which is in the spirit of, I believe it's a Japanese term. And it basically means that the idea that nothing is ever completed and there's always room for improvement. But one of the core values at Merit is just having that future focus. This has been a passion project at Merit. I think there are a lot of great technology out there that are great at consolidating accounts for clients to view their accounts and to generate reports. And those are wonderful. And we actually utilize some of those resources as well. But we wanted to create this client experience, something that is unique to the Merit community. Rick Kent, our CEO, along with our brilliant technology team, created a portal that we called Merit Connect, where clients can log in, see all of their accounts, whether they're held at our custodian or held outside. But it also connects clients to the advisor. So they have the ability to, things like schedule meetings right in the portal. Clients can also contact the service team behind the advisor, upload documents, track a full balance sheet, have reporting options. They're able to see their statements. And we're constantly building upon this portal. So we have several more initiatives to launch in the next 6 to 12 months, like completing risk questionnaires, receiving notifications about upcoming meetings and events from the Merit team, and also receiving market insights. We also created a Merit Connect app so that they can easily access all of this information on their phone. And we just really want our clients to have full access and to be truly connected to their advisor. So it's not just clients, logging into some system and being, able to see all of their accounts. That's all wonderful and needed. But we also want to have that connection that is very much a Merit community.
That's so cool. Do you think that firms have to kind of build their own portals for clients if they want to have success with it? And the reason why I ask you that is I've seen so many people try to implement client portals, and we have tons of conversations with people about them here at Milemarker because people want to do stuff with their data and create portals and stuff. And I think what I've just found is that every firm wants to represent themselves to their clients differently, and nobody wants to sort of just take, this is what so-and-so says a client portal should look like, and we're going to try and make it work or whatever. So do you think the only way to truly successfully represent your firm in a client portal fashion is for someone like Merit to build it themselves?
We do. We still believe that. And I'm just going to be transparent. It is really challenging when you try to build it yourself. It is incredibly challenging because, there's not a foundation that you're walking into, right? When you buy a resource, and sometimes that's great. And, companies like Milemarker are fantastic to be able to kind of help, come alongside and be able to really boost it. And so those are really important things. But the reason why we think it's important to build it, several reasons. These technology, these resources that are out there that have already been built, they are phenomenal. I will say the reporting and everything is great. They have those feeds in, and that's all wonderful. But we don't have the ability to build upon it. We can ask. We don't know if that's going to work or how many years that it can take.
Yeah.
So we don't have as much control. Not that we need to have absolute control, but when we're hearing from our clients and our advisors, hey, it would be really wonderful to be able to see this, on the portal. We want to do everything we can to build it. And so that's the challenge when we are just buying something off the rack, is that we don't have that ability to customize. And I think that when we are trying to build this Merit Financial as being this RIA of the future, we really do want to be able to get to the point where we're customizing and it's a Merit feel. It's something that, when you join Merit, that is what you get. Other technology, you could get it from a lot of different firms. So we want something that's very special to us.
Well stated.
This podcast is brought to you by Turncast. We make game-changing content for fintech and financial services companies. Learn more at turncast.com.
Okay, so talking about things like the Merit Connect portal, which is pretty cool, what you all have done with that. When firms do get plugged into Merit and they gain access to you and your team and the processes and the support and the systems and things like that, practically, what does this empower them to do? Like, why are firms choosing Merit rather than staying independent, just kind of continuing to try and grow on their own, things like that? Like, what benefit do they get from choosing to come with a Merit?
Yeah. One of the things that really take away from advisors is productivity. When advisors have to use time and put thought into things like processes, operational tasks, figuring out technology, HR, billing. I mean, I could go on and on about all the different, departments. Why not allow advisors to stay in their quote unquote hot zone, which is really to serve their clients and to have that relationship with the client. So I think there's a theory that when someone interrupts you, you lose like 20 minutes of time to get back into what you were doing before the interruption. So it's the same concept. You're taking away all that time for advisors to actually focus on helping clients because you're handling office tasks. And it just makes you such a powerful advisor to have an army behind them to say, I got this. I'm going to handle all of that back office. We are in the M&A space. We're very active in it. So we bring on firms consistently. And almost always, I think that one of the reasons that they state that they're joining Merit is to tap into the resources of Merit. So by joining a larger firm like Merit, there are many resources and systems that are built out that can make things a lot easier and more streamlined. So they instantly gain access to things like estate planning, tax prep, financial planning, even cybersecurity resources for their clients.
Yeah.
We even offer estate planning for clients' children so that they can tap into those kind of resources at Merit. They're obviously, gaining our investment team and all the research that they do and the customization that they can get from us. And they're also gaining a vast knowledge and backing from our compliance department and operations. So they're walking into this brilliant house with all of these different services and departments that can really help their clients right out of the gate. And for smaller firms, I think that these vast resources, it's a little bit challenging. It's not as possible for them.
What's interesting is so many people will leave like a captive environment and go independent. And I think they all, believe, hey, this is what I really want, right? I want to go do this. And I think what they ultimately desire, I'm projecting on them, but what they ultimately desire is, hey, I don't want to be told how to serve my clients with certain products or whatever, et cetera. But then they get out there and it's like, man, I've got to figure out my office lease and my phone company and where I'm going to buy office supplies from and these 10,000 other things I didn't even think about, let alone I already knew the technology thing was going to be a headache and all of this sort of stuff. And so I think that's got to be an area where something like Merit is so powerful for them is it's like, okay, you're going to let me, serve my clients in the way that I think and I deem is best, but you're going to take care of all of this other, crazy stuff that I don't have to worry about anymore. Right. So it's kind of the benefits of, somebody else kind of providing all of that for you, but you still get the benefit of independence of choosing how you want to plan and what products to buy for clients and how to give them the proper advice for them. Is that fair?
100%. So it's interesting that you say that because I'm working with one of our larger offices and, they're obviously out there, they're doing client events and they're doing annual reviews with clients. And it was interesting because recently their lease came out. And so that was on us. That was on, Merit, the back office to do the negotiations, to go back and forth because there are plenty of emails back and forth about the tiniest details of a lease renewal and negotiating it. And they don't have to worry about any of that. That's something that we're taking care of and they can just truly focus on the client. I'm just going through that right now. So it's interesting that you say that, just being able to partner with a larger firm like Merit where, we are saying, I got this. We're going to give you the most important parts of it, and then you can make that decision. But we're going to get through all of that noise and then provide it to you in a package. And then you tell us how you want to move forward with it and be able to make that decision. And I think that they feel really good about that, very confident.
So that prompts a question for me as I think about this. As a firm that's growing fast and you're bringing on a handful of firms every year or more than a handful, and you are dealing with the complexities of challenging operations environment, right? Because anytime something's growing very fast, operations is always difficult, because as soon as you feel like you've got something figured out, well, that no longer works for the company that we have anymore. But I guess I want to ask you a little bit about, where are some areas operationally that you feel like innovation hasn't happened, or that you're still sort of frustrated by kind of the lack of progress or lack of innovation in the ability to get things done from an operations perspective?
So I do think that operations and technology, they go hand in hand. Because if we have the technology to be able to make everybody efficient, particularly in operations, because if you think about it, operations really is at the heart of an organization, because you have the relationships, but then you have to actually get the paperwork in. You have to submit the ACAT forms and whatever business that they're doing. And if we don't have the right technology, or if it's limited, then it really is difficult, because then it becomes a manual process. And I think, Kyle, you can appreciate this because you've been in the industry for some time. I do think that we still have a lot of challenges on the technology side. Everybody, I think, talks about this, and I can't believe we're still talking about this. The challenge of data aggregation. I think that is a challenge. And it absolutely hits operations, because that's what we deal with. Having to try to pull all the information together so that it's right there in the hands of the advisor to be able to talk with the client. And so I think for us, I know it sounds weird that I'm talking about technology when you ask me a question about operations.
Yeah.
But for us, I feel like the biggest challenge is we have operations. We have that hands down in the sense of what needs to be done, what paperwork needs to happen, what the clients need to sign, but it's how we get it in the hands of the clients. And that's on a technology perspective. So I think that's the challenge.
You just sprung another thing for me that I feel like we're talking about a lot here at Milemarker, and I just want to get your take on it. But I think technology, I totally agree with your statement. But I also think that technology kind of is split between two jobs, right? Because you have this technology that is advisor facing, and then you have this technology that's kind of operations facing.
Yeah.
And in this new world where people are plugging into these support systems for firms, it's almost like you have places like Merit where Chrissy is building out these incredibly sophisticated workflows and things all on top of a technology. But then in most situations, the advisor is using a completely different set of technology that doesn't really talk with what the operations team is using. So what do you think it takes to be able to kind of tie together, So the analogy I use a lot of times is that of like a restaurant, right? So I think that the operations team is the kitchen at a restaurant, and they are this fine-tuned efficiency machine. It's not supposed to be pretty. It's like all the stations are set exactly right so that we can consistently pump out wonderful dishes that are great. But then the advisors are out in the front of house of the restaurant, and they're serving clients. They're trying to create an atmosphere and an experience with white tablecloths and nice wine and all of this type of stuff, and make sure they're taken care of. But I feel like in so many RIAs today, if we're using the kitchen analogy, you have this great, beautiful dining room, this efficiency machine of a kitchen. And then what happens is the advisors take the order from the clients, and then they're just shouting it back to the kitchen, like from where they stand. So you have all of these orders being shouted in, and the kitchen's like, we're ready to be efficient, but golly, can somebody organize the way that this work is coming in for us to be efficient for you? So I'd be curious to hear you riff on that a little bit of, yes, the technology investment's so important, but it seems like we're bifurcated on people building tech for operations, but then people building tech for advisors, and they're not really the same systems, and they're not being implemented the same.
So you're speaking my language. And it's funny that you used the kitchen because that's what I use. That's 100%. I agree with that, because I do see it that way. And that's a good thing. I do think that that's a good thing. They don't see what happens behind those closed doors. And so by the time that the dish comes out, it looks beautiful and everything looks really, really nice. But you have no idea that in the bag, it was like 10 people trying to make it as fast, but beautiful and tasty and everything that goes to it. And it is, there is a lot of manual. And I think this is where I wish so much. And I know that there are these different, like I've been on different boards, focus groups and things with different organizations, like different technology companies, because my thing that I always say is, okay, can we please, to your point, make it where the client facing, as well as the back office, that it's because you need to have that automation and the streamlined way so that we in operations is not having to go to what the advisor is using and try to manually pull it over, into, I'm making this up, into like Salesforce or someplace else where we have it in our back office. So it would be amazing if these companies would speak to one another. So that's a challenge that, I think the people that are very vocal in operations in the financial industry, we just need to gather together and start, knocking on doors and demanding this. But yeah, that is the challenge. I think that both sides, they have these wonderful, brilliant technologies that they offer, whether it's to the back office, but then it doesn't talk to clients. And then on the client side, they have this really beautiful reporting or whatever it is that they can log into, but it doesn't speak to, and I think we've done a better job. I think as an industry, the companies, the bigger companies, the resources are doing a better job of trying to streamline it. But I think that it's just a constant challenge that we're always, butting heads and trying to figure out. It's one at a time, but we are getting there.
Yeah, well stated. All right, so since we've been talking about all of that, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about the future of the industry. So, Chrissy, this is the segment of the show where I'm going to ask you to get out your crystal ball, and I want you to peer into the future of the wealth management or the RIA space. You can go as far into the future as you want, but give us at least a couple years and tell us what you see coming down the pike for what's happening in the future of this industry.
So I'm going to speak as an operations person. Obviously, I'm not an advisor. I'm not on the investment side. So I don't know what the market will do. But in terms of what I see in the industry, and it's based upon the conversation that you and I have had so far, Kyle, in the sense that all of those technology, the resources that are super helpful, and it's really able to connect us to the clients and they're able to access their accounts. But again, kind of going back to what we are building in Merit Connect, it's really about the relationships. And more, what I see is that technology, I think that people put too much into it, meaning let's build something and then, throw it out there for clients to see and we don't have to deal with it. It's all technology, and it's not. It really is a combination of the two, of being able to use technology to further enhance the relationship. And I know that there's been a lot of focus on AI in our industry. And I think last year there were so many conversations about ChatGPT and how we could help write these wonderful emails and have conversation pieces. And I'm not saying that those are not helpful. It does, give you some great bullet points and conversational pieces to discuss. But I think what I see, and at least for our amazing advisors at Merit, what I see is you always go back to the human touches. I really do. I even see it I think they said that people get so many emails because everyone thought that was the most efficient way to do it. But then now I'm hearing that's actually by mail, that some people are going back to mail because it's really nice to be able to have that, touch. And so I just think that we're going to go back to some of the classics. I always think that handwritten notes are so much more personal than a thank you email. People are not numbers. You can only send so much data and analysis to someone. They want someone that cares, who's listening, hearing their story. So it's not just about their investments. They really want to hear the story and be part of their lives and their dreams for building the wealth. And I think that those are really important. There are a lot of companies I do business with, even though they're more expensive on their counterparts than other companies. But because they formed a relationship with me, I want to work with them. I'm not a transaction. They make me feel good about investing with them and working with them. So I think that especially in our industry where we're helping people achieve their dreams and build their wealth, I think no matter what, we're just going to keep coming back to the relationship part.
I love that. It was not related to our industry, but I saw something just yesterday where somebody was saying that with all of the AI generated emails and all of this sort of stuff, that it's we're almost going to have to prove that we're human. And they were I think you're going to see this huge renaissance of in-person events or salespeople getting on jets and going to see people because it's hey, this is actually me coming to talk to you. It's not some AI generated stuff. It's not an AI bot on the phone because they can do that now, right? An AI generated voice calling you on the phone or things along those lines. I think there's going to be a lot of no, I'm a human who cares and who's coming to actually see you and invest in this.
100%. I mean, several years ago, everybody, because of what was happening in the world, we were all using video chat, to with clients and things. And I think that some people thought, oh, great, like this is the way that we're going to do things. I think it's still nice to have it for those times when they just want to have a quick call or something. It's nice to be able to have this interaction, but you're never going to get that same effect as just sitting across your clients and people and having that, the ability to be able to sit there and, shake their hand, or if you're closing, if you're hugging them, whatever it is, and hearing their story and really being able to be engaged and in the moment. So I totally agree.
That's so good. I wonder too if we're almost going to see a renaissance of like, trying to think of the right word, but like finishing classes or something where it's like, hey, like learning how to actually talk human to human again, because so many people are so used to just like texting or Instagram or those types of things. As it becomes a renaissance, that would be, hey, here's how to have a conversation with somebody. Here's etiquette classes again.
Right. Write a handwritten note.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so we're going to move into our final segment of the show. We call this the Milemarker Minute. It's a series of lightning round questions, a little bit lighthearted in nature, just to learn more about you and things outside of Merit Financial. So are you ready for the Milemarker Minute?
I'm ready.
Okay. My first question for you. What is one of the most underrated hires for an RIA to bring into a firm that most people don't think about?
Relationship managers. So at Merit, we have the advisors. They're supporting their clients and they're speaking with them, but you also need someone on a day-to-day. If a client calls in and they need to have a question answered or they need some type of a service, you need a relationship manager, meaning someone that understands that client, has the relationship, can walk them through the whole process. So it's not just about, oh, here's the paperwork and, please give it back to me, at this time. It's someone that is able to spend that time with the clients and answer and address anything that they need. And I think that, sometimes that's overlooked because it's not the advisor, right? It's not necessarily a revenue maker. It's not a revenue generator, but it's a relationship part. And that is more important, I think, in the long run.
Well stated. Okay, next question. Where in the world would you love to travel that you've never traveled to before?
Oh my goodness. So I am from South Korea. I immigrated to the United States when I was about 6 years old. And so I don't remember a thing. So I would love to be able to go back. I still have family there that I've never met. So I would love to be able to go there. And while there, I would love to be able to go to Japan. That is on my bucket list. I so want to be able to go there, visit some of the Disney parks and things. That is my dream.
I love it. Okay, I know your grandma nickname is Minnie, but what is your favorite Disney movie or Disney property, as I would say it?
I'm in Atlanta, so I am very lucky because by flight to Orlando, I'm an hour, and even by car, it's about 7 hours. And so for me, Disney World is absolutely my favorite. I'm not going to say how many times I've been there, but it's quite a bit. I would say that's probably in the 50s. I'm an annual pass holder, so yes, that's my favorite place, Orlando.
I love it. What made you fall in love with Disney? Was it a specific movie or something like that? Like, what triggered this?
Great question. First of all, I love to have fun. I think that it is incredibly important for you to always have that focus of, kind of that having that lens of enjoying your life and enjoying the fruits of your labor. I work really hard on a day-to-day basis, and I love to laugh. I love to be entertained. I love to be immersed in magic. And I think Disney does a great job of this concept of dreams coming true. And that's something that's been really important in my life. I am a firm believer in dreams coming true. And again, it goes back to, what advisors do in our industry of, building dreams and creating this legacy for clients. And so I think that's why it resonated. That's just my personality as well. I love when people tell me, this is a dream come true, or I'm living my dream. I love that. And I think that Disney, they tend to constantly, their branding is about dreams coming true. So I think that's what really resonated for me.
I love it. That's just super cool. All right. My final question for you. What is the best book that you've read in the last 12 months?
In the last 12 months. So I always have to say this because it is a very important part for me. I love reading my Bible. That's very important to me. I also have read a book that has really made an impact. It's called The Map It's not something that a lot of people are aware of. It's a local. It's from a person here in Atlanta. They're local here. I believe it's called The Map by Dr. Keith Eigel. And it's about leadership. And then I know that there are a lot of books on leadership, but it's really about leadership and about meeting people where they are. So it talks about having wisdom. It's about having humbleness, and it's about leading in a servant leadership style. And so that was something that really resonated for me, because I am in a position where I am leading a lot of the departments, and it helps me to be able to understand everybody's in a different place. Everyone has a different way of communication, a different way of doing things. And it's really humbled me and allowed me to be able to be a better leader.
What a great place to end on. I love it. May everybody listening to this be challenged to be a more humble and a better leader. Excellent. Well, Chrissy, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, dropping insights about your expertise on operations, your love for Disney, and all other things about the future of this space and how to make it better. I thought it was really insightful and really great. So thank you for gifting us some of your time today.
This was so much fun. Thank you, Kyle. Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you as well. Okay, everybody, that has been another episode of The Connected Advisor. Please make sure to click follow or subscribe wherever you're listening to this, and please leave us a review if you found this helpful. And in the meantime, have a great week, and we'll see you on the next episode.